Chris, what is that journey from McDonald's as a teenager to a cocaine addict to a sales manager of a roofing company?
Well, I'd say that journey, it's a little bit long-winded, but to shorten it up, I would say a lot of it had to do, for me getting here, would be God's hand, and then probably a lot of late nights of Mama staying up and praying for me. That probably helped me along my journey a lot.
Welcome to this edition of the Hoel Truth Podcast. We're going to do a little mini series here where we're going to bring in our sales team once a week and talk with the salesman. So today we're going to kick it off with our current sales manager, Mr. Britt. Chris, take a second, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your beautiful family.
Hey, I'm Chris with Hoel Roofing Remodeling. I'm the active sales manager here at the company. I was in sales for 3 years before Bob graciously promoted me to being sales manager. In my free time, which is pretty limited nowadays because I have a 3-year-old and then also a 1-month-old at home, usually play guitar and hang out with my family. That's usually what I'm doing in my free time.
And you forgot about how old's Lexi. I mean, she's your third kid.
Lexi's 35. No, I'm just kidding. She'll probably kill me when she sees that. Lexi's 29, so we're both going to be coming up to the big 30 this year.
So married to Lexi, 2 beautiful little boys. Running, well, Kylo's running around.
Yeah.
So little man's not running around yet.
Not quite yet.
Just tell a little of your story of your journey, because I always like this story. I always laugh when I try to step back and reflect on hiring people. And literally, as we're taping this, we just hired a new office assistant that accepted late last night, early this morning. So it's just always cool to watch that process and kind of explain a little bit of like what got you here, because another thing that's crazy is the hire that we just made. You guys worked at McDonald's together, and Ellie used to work at McDonald's. I know Adam used to work at Taco Bell. So I had a podcast guest about a month ago that said that 1 in 8 or 1 in 10 people start their career or start working at a McDonald's, which is kind of crazy in the grand scheme of things. So share a little bit of your journey to get here.
I actually started working at McDonald's when I think I was 14. And the main reason I started working at McDonald's was so I had money to buy video games. Like, I literally would go in, I'd work just enough hours so I could buy like the new 2K game or whatever came out. So I worked there for a good while. And then I did some pizza delivery for a while. Then I did some like steak cooking for a little bit. And then once I started like getting into the age where I needed to like get a house, and me and Lexi were getting together, I went and worked in a factory for probably almost 4 years. And then Nick started working for you guys, which Nick's been my best friend since we were like 12. So 18 years almost. He just spoke really highly of you guys and talked about how great of a company you guys were to work for. And then also talked a little bit about the checks he was getting. And I was like, dude, you show me a check like that, and I was like, I'll quit my job tomorrow. If you've ever seen The Wolf on Wall Street, pretty much just that exact scene from the movie. And so we talked a little bit, and then I think probably within the next week, I was on the phone call with you guys and then doing my interviews, and then it went fairly quickly from there.
So I'm gonna interject for a second. So Nick, I remember this. Me and Emily's driving in a truck. Nick calls me. He's like, "Hey, I got a buddy that wants a job." And I said, "Nick, you haven't worked here long enough for us to have this conversation, but we don't hire buddies because they're lazier than you. They don't work out. Then that gives you that puts a bad taste in my mouth about you." He's like, No. Honestly, I've had some friends that want jobs that I haven't even brought it up. And I was like, all right, we'll see if this kid's interested or not. So I said, have him call Emily. And literally, like, it felt like 30 seconds later, like Emily gets a call. It was like, hello, this is Britt. Is this Emily? So, and then I always like your story of like, when it comes to, and this might sound bad if the wrong person's listening to this, but when it comes to sales, I don't really want somebody with a lot of roofing sales experience, because then I've got to correct all their bad habits. Where you said you stayed up most of the night before studying about roofing, and then I didn't even ask a simple roofing question, because for me it's about character and work ethic, and do you fit with the team? And I mean, that is one thing that I've always admired about you, Cody and Nick, is you guys have each other's backs. Like, that's what friends are truly about. And like, if one of you move, you're over there trying to help paint, laying flooring, whatever that is. And it's just, I lost a good friend of mine, which will be 18 years this fall, which is crazy to say out loud. But he was that friend. Like, if I called him, he was there to help, vice versa. If he needed to use his truck or he needed to use his trailer, it was like, just come and do it. And in this world that we're in, unfortunately, there's not a lot of that. So that is one thing that, like, I've just always admired about you three. I mean, we always joke and say that you guys might be gay and that your wives are cover-ups, but on a serious note,
denying.
On a serious note, though, your guys' loyalty and your friendship, that's fun to see. So yeah, we went ahead and we hired them, and it was, and then this might be the best part. Was it day 3, Chris, that you come in here and you...
Yep, I think it was day 3 I about got fired.
No.
Oh, no, not that one.
We won't talk about that story. But it's when you walked in and told me that Lex was pregnant. And, like, you just started working here. Like, I knew her name, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you walk in just nonchalant. You sit down and you're like, yeah, Lex is pregnant.
Yep.
Now, guys, he just quit a hourly job of a guaranteed paycheck every week to go to a straight commission job. That there is no guaranteed. There is guarantees you'll have weeks that you make zero when you're in straight commission. That is your guarantee, especially in the beginning. But and I was like, well, what do you think? And you're like, I'm good. And I thought to myself, I'm like, he's either going to sink or swim. Like, I mean, literally, like, there's only 2 options here, and I mean, one thing that I don't think anybody understands, especially in the beginning, especially when a guy like me is trying to hire straight commission sales guys, I take so much responsibility and I put so much weight on my shoulders to make sure I'm providing you guys with the best crews possible, the best products, the most opportunities, and I take it to heart when a crappy lead comes in or a crew messes up, and we're all humans. It happens, but we threw you in a transit van and, you started selling. Nick may not want this promoted, but you actually did better in your first year than Nick did in his first year. So, I mean, to me, that's the fun. That's the success. That's the reason me and Emily do this crazy world, in business and everything. So, yeah. And like, and one thing that I really try to focus on is like truly, like, it's a family around here. Yeah. Like, I love teasing Lex and giving her a hard time. Like, hey, I'm over by Waldron. Like, I want to stop and have supper. What are you fixing for supper?
Where's the steaks at?
But, little Kylo coming out, loving to see the cows. Like, or you sending me videos of jamming out with Kylo. Like, that's what it's about as a leader, as a business owner. And it has been cool. And if you watch the episode that me and Chris did a couple years ago, like, the reason, and we'll just go ahead and talk about it for a minute. There was the meeting that we had to have that there was some rumblings of some past and some dumb shit that you had done. And we've all been teenagers and we've all done dumb stuff. Some maybe judged a little different. And I sat down and I was just like, Chris, like, where are we at on this? Because unfortunately, you've lost friends to addictions, and that kind of stuff. So kind of talk a little bit about what got you out of that hole and like some things, unfortunately, that you've kind of witnessed in in some of them down times and troubles?
Yeah, so I had a pretty decent cocaine addiction for a little bit, just to be blunt.
Not that I'd laugh about cocaine addiction, but when you said decent, so
yeah, decent one for a while. And I lost my best friend to heroin addiction, and I've probably had 7 to 8 other friends overdose on heroin, and I've seen some of that, and just I think I eventually kind of got a little bit tired of living that life, but I wasn't necessarily taking myself out of it. I was still doing it, but I was kind of sick of it. And then I'd met Lexi, and me and her had got more serious, and she kind of just put it down and was like, if because she was a well put together woman, had her own place, had a good job that she had been at for years in healthcare. She kind of just put it as in like, hey, I really like you. You're a lot of fun. Like, we have great times together, but I hate waking up twice a night and thinking that you might be dead. So, if you want to be with me, then this has to stop now, or we're going to have to go our separate ways. So, kind of fought it briefly. And then I just kind of like made my decision, like, okay, like, everyone has a point in their life where they can go this way or they can go this way. And fortunately, I chose to go with Lexi, because if not, who knows where I'd be at right now. I certainly wouldn't be here sitting in this chair talking to you. So that was kind of like the breaking point for me in that direction. And fortunately, I made the correct decision that it was kind of time to get my life together, go get me a stable job, and then eventually down the road have a family, and now I get to live the good life.
Well, and if you believe in God, and we believe in God around here, and I'm not going to Bible thump you if you don't. It's not that. It's just like you truly believe. Like, I was explaining this to kids the other day. Like, some of Emily's dad's like parents and distant Lucas's are buried right around the corner from our house, and I was like, we live in a world that's created by such an amazing God that, 30 years ago, literally within about the next month, my dad moved me as a young kid and my 2 older siblings into Indiana for a job opportunity. And then, this happened and that happened. And then eventually I meet Emily, and then there's no accident that we went to Rushville School, it just kind of it all comes together. So like you are right, there's turning points in life. There's the time that is it cleaning up a drug addiction? Is it starting a business? Is it starting a health journey? Like, where is the line in the sand? And kudos to Lex. Like, I love Lex. She's a fireball. Yeah. I love her. Like, I love just poking the bear.
Yep.
However, it took God creating her to be like, Chris, I love you. I think you're a pretty cool dude, but you're not going to do this. Like a girl that wasn't as upfront wouldn't have said that. And like, where could that, ever, how did that work out? And like, it all kind of comes together. And to me, like, that's the fun part of just stepping back and looking at journeys and how you meet people. And Adam and Ellie that have worked here for several years now. Like, me and Emily were part of their help with leading their youth group, 15 years ago. Now they work here. Like, that's, to me, that's cool. And one thing that I always thought, it was cool that you told me the other day, your mamaw's husband, John, used to take Lexi to church, him and his first wife that passed away. Like,
yeah, they used to take her to church all the time.
That's cool. Like, you know what I mean? So, but no,
small world.
Yeah. And it's just, like I said, it's awesome. So, as we kind of talk about sales and, construction, and there's just so many battle words about construction and contractors and stuff like that. And, as a leader of the sales team, like, what do you feel like sets us apart from, let's just be honest, there's 30 roofers within an hour of here probably pretty freaking easy if you searched hard enough.
Yeah, I would say really what sets us apart is that we always have the customer's like best interest in mind when we're out there. Like if I show up to your property, I'm not trying to sell you anything that you don't need. If you've got a 6-year-old roof and you have a couple shingles missing, like I'm going to do a complete inspection and make sure that everything is in integrity and it's good, but I'm going to give you exactly what you need for what your issue is. To whereas somebody else who may be a little bit more dishonest may come out there and be like, well, look at this and look at this and this is bad and see this is going to be really bad, when maybe that's not exactly the case. And I've went out as a second opinion on multiple roofs and they've been told their entire roof needs to be replaced, or there's 3 layers on the roof and that, that all has to go. And then I get up, take a layer picture. It's 1 layer. The roof's 6 years old. They've got a leak because the step flashing wasn't installed correctly and they don't have ice and water there or whatever. And then I bring it down and I show the customer the pictures and I'm like, I don't know who told you had 3 layers of shingles on your roof. You got 1. I don't know who told you your roof was shot. Here's 40 pictures we can go through. I can show you that there's really nothing going on up there. Your issue's caused over here, and this is why it's happening. Would you like to go ahead and get this taken care of? You know what I mean? I think, and the guys that I've trained on the sales team, I've just trained them to lead with honesty and like caring more about people than like the bottom line, than the dollar. It's much more important, and it all comes full circle, because when they have a great experience with us, when they're at work and their coworker is saying like, I need to get a roof, or I need this done, she's going to remember, or he's going to remember, whoever, I had a great experience with Hoel Roofing and Remodeling. I think you should have those guys out. They're very trustworthy. So I really think that sets us apart as a company.
Well, and one thing that I've learned, and I haven't been in the sales role for several years now, it feels like, but I remember one time I was up in Fishers in a neighborhood, and there was been some wind blow through part of the neighborhood. Then I got a call like in a completely different part of the neighborhood that had no damage. It's like, oh yeah, this guy said there was hail damage up there. I was like, okay, so I get up there. Well, it was the foot traffic from when they installed the roof originally, and it must have been hot when they installed it, so there was some what you call foot traffic. And I took pictures. I mean, some of this damage was this big. Like, we'd had broken out windows if hail was that big. So I asked the lady, I was like, and she was a single lady, which unfortunately, like some people think that, you can take advantage of that. I was like, did you see any pictures? No. Well, let me show you what he's calling hail. But I said, then I showed her a bunch of other pictures. I was like, there's nothing up here. This is what this is from, and, another thing, like, and I mean this, like, we take care of people. Like, I remember another lady in that exact same neighborhood had aluminum ridge vent blew up, and she called me, and it was going to rain at like midnight. And I was just sitting down to eat supper at like 7:30. So by the time I ate a little bit of supper, jumped in my truck, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was completely dark. I remember she opened a bedroom window. I crawled out on her second story roof. I had a headlamp on, and I crawled on this 12-12 pitch. So we're like this, straddled that thing. I tapped it down. I get back in. She's like, what do I owe you? I was like, oh, nothing. I said, I'm crazy enough to
I do this for fun.
I truly like your peace of mind. And I'll never forget, 4 months later, she called and said, hey, the insurance adjuster just left. He's approving a brand new roof. I've got to check. What do you guys need from me? Yeah. Like, and that's the kind of business that we've built. But it takes great people if it's, the sales, it starts with the sales team a lot. I mean, yeah, it technically starts with Ellie when she answers the phone, but it's really that sales team going out there, and like, we're always asking for 5-star reviews because we want people to understand, and one thing that just pops up is like, one of our current sales guys, Tanner, like, he gets some raving reviews.
Yeah, they're long.
And, and what I love about Tanner, though, he's got your bubbly personality. Like, sometimes I'm just like, Tanner, are you ever in a bad mood, bud? Like, so
he does.
To me, that's what it's about. And it's so cool for me and Emily to hear compliments from people. I mean, we're to the point now that strangers are coming up to us in our trucks or in a sweatshirt and be like, hey, you guys did a roof. Like, you guys are awesome. And I don't even know them. Like, there's plenty of people that I know, and that's awesome. Don't get me wrong. But, when you start driving by and see signs that I don't even know the people, or people are coming up to us, or what I'm seeing a lot of now on Facebook is people recommending us that I don't even know. So that means we've had, they've had a good experience with us. So as a sales guy, as a sales leader, what is a product? What is probably your favorite, or was your favorite product to sell when you were out selling?
My favorite product to sell whenever I was out selling was definitely metal products. Metal roofing is my favorite. If I was going to put a roof on my home, it would most likely be metal. I just think it provides like a great value to the homeowner, like long-term for their house. It's a good return on investment. Metal roofs are hot right now, so if you've got a metal roof on your home and then you do go to sell it, that's definitely going to be a selling factor of it. And I just knew that I could sell so much metal. I could sell more than Cody and Nick combined. And so that was definitely my favorite product to sell.
The funny thing is, though, like, you could step back and look at sales reps sometimes, like, if a guy gets on really pushing malarkey or really pushing metal, it's like they sell a lot more of it. And it's funny that you make it a competition with Cody and Nick,
Well, if you really believe in a product and it's right, it's the right solution for the homeowner, then it's not a hard sell. It's like if a homeowner is really in between shingles and metal, and I can properly convey why metal is the right option for them, then it's really the homeowner's decision at that point. And typically they'll choose to go with metal because I firmly do believe it's more bang for your buck and you're going to get that long-term value out of it.
What is something, maybe a service that we offer that maybe a lot of people don't even know that we offer that?
Well, we offer a little bit of everything. So, I mean, we've done all kinds of stuff. We're working on the Greenwood Apartments up in Richmond. I mean, we have a huge remodel there. I think we're doing some painting, countertops, I think cabinets, maybe some flooring. I think some bathroom remodeling there. I know we did some decks for we did a deck for Lexi's uncle over in Carthage recently. So we really do, while we do a lot of like roofing, siding, gutters, fascia, soffit, that kind of work, we're well versed and we can virtually do almost anything. As long we don't do a lot of electrical or plumbing, but
that's what we call Shane.
Yeah, we call Shane for that kind of stuff. But I mean, really any kind of project that you need done, I feel like you could be 100% confident that we could complete it.
Well, and another thing that we've really gotten into really over the last year is just some more commercial work.
Yeah.
Where, working on churches, and we've always done a little bit of that, but like you said, them apartment buildings, we did a standing seam roof last year, and it went so well, and they were having problems with their interior contractors. They had to throw them out, and then that local staff was like, we had such a good experience with these guys. Let's see if they can handle it. And we're also literally in a remodel. We're working on a house right now, which a couple years ago we did the roof and gutters, and now we've gutted the entire house. We've reframed it, drywall, insulation, siding, windows, front doors. So yeah, there's a lot of things. If you're looking to get a project done, get with us on that. So, what are some goals around here? I talk a lot about goals, and Zig Ziglar says if you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. But what are some of your goals just in the phase of life that you're in right now, Chris?
Yeah, so a big goal that I've had recently is just to grow a stronger connection with God and be like a godly man for my family. So make sure I'm doing the right things for my family and setting the right precedents at home. So that way my sons see their parents grow up in a loving relationship. And then that way, when they get to that age and they're ready to, have a girlfriend or a wife or have a family, that they remember the way that they grew up and the way they seen their dad treat their mom. And then they can pass that on to their kids and then their kids. So that's one of my big goals right now, is just make sure I'm doing everything for my family and my kids. And then I would say some of my other goals here at work, really, are just to like make sure that I'm pouring everything that I've learned, especially into the 3 new guys that we've brought on and I've trained this year. I really want to make sure that they have the same experience at this company that I was fortunate to have. Things were a little bit different when I started. You trained me, you and Nick did. I wrote a lot with you, so I learned straight from your mouth on how I needed to be. And now I'm kind of, it's like playing a game of phone tag, So now I'm trying to take all this stuff you instilled in me and then instill it in these guys. And I do think that last year, I mean, we had a tremendous year last year as far as the sales teams goes, and we're trending towards another tremendous year. So I think things are working out, but those are 2 of my biggest goals right now, is just making sure that I'm pouring the right stuff into the sales team, and then I'm pouring the right stuff into my family at home.
Well, and I mean, and that is one thing that I didn't talk about when we hired you, but you talked about your mamaw so much.
Oh yeah.
when we interviewed you, and I remember Emily saying, for as much as he loves his mamaw, he's got to be a good guy, and then we've been fortunate to get to know your mamaw, and I mean, she's just the sweetest thing in the world,
she's a big fan.
And like when we were at your guys' wedding, you kind of did it wrong and had Kylo first and then got pregnant again, but that's okay. But just to see your guys' family, like even Lex's dad came up to me, and I was trying to like tease him about, oh man, are you sure you want this guy to be your son-in-law, and he's like, oh man, he's a hell of a provider. And like, I get tired of hearing like, oh, these kids these days, they suck, they're lazy. Like, man, I've got some really good, hardworking, late 20-year-old men in this building that are focused on their health, their family, like they're focused on the right things. And it's pretty cool to see because like I'm a big believer in you need a mentor, but I'm also a believer you've got to be mentoring somebody because, like I it's good for me when one of you younger guys like, hey, how would you handle this, boss? And it's not even work related. It's like, over here. And like one thing I've tried to just pound in your guys' head is love them love on your wife, love on them kids, because it freaking goes so darn fast. And it's something that I'm trying to work on. Like, okay, am I balancing keeping the business rolling as well as I can? And am I balancing loving my kids? Because, Rhett now will be 11 here literally in a few weeks after this podcast drops. And that's, when he turned 9, I told Emily, I was like, he's halfway growed up out of our house. And, that was not a very good thing to tell your emotional wife. I won't tell her next year at this time. It'll be 2/3 away. Yeah. Like, I mean, it crazy, but it's cool to be able to lead. I'm a firm believer in you create a lot of stuff, and you attract, like another thing that kudos to you when you came to interview, like you had a pile of money saved up. Like, once again, that's another thing that you hear, like nobody has any money saved. Everybody lives paycheck to paycheck. So like that's another part of our DNA is financial wisdom, or being wise with finance, however you want to say that, being generous. Another thing that I've always respected about you was how many times you've called, hey girls, hey Emily, hey Ellie, you guys want some Taco Bell? Or hey, I'm getting a coffee. You girls need a coffee. Like, that's the kind of little things. And, one compliment that I always got when you were out selling, I was like, he's just so nice. So nice. And literally the interview that we were doing the other night, me and Emily were like, the lady's like, oh yeah, like the thing about Chris was he might be a little goofy.
Yeah, I am.
But he's just so nice. And if you guys ever meet his wife, you'll know, I jokingly said I knew you'd be a good sales guy when I met Lex, because Lex is a pretty girl. And if you can convince her to date you, then you can convince people to give you money to put a new roof on their house. But,
absolutely.
So as we wrap up, I just want to thank you for your loyalty, your dedication to our family, because it's more than Hoel Roofing. Like it's a family thing. Like it's the family cookouts. It's the we just did the Christmas party at our house this year with so many little kids, you know, and then sure enough, I have a cow in labor, so half the team and their kids go out and watch me pull a calf out of a cow, you know.
Kylo kept trying to jump the fence and get in there with the cows. I'm like, dude, you can't do it.
He needs to come back out because we've had 2 red heifers born lately. So they're not just all like solid black cows like a lot of times. But so as we wrap up, Chris, any words of wisdom? I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for us. And I'm proud of you to watch your growth, to see you develop into a leader. As a business owner, like I want everybody growing, like, and not everybody can grow and be a leader, like be the leader in the business because there's only so many, but, just, you know, getting married, you love Lexi so well, you love them boys, you know, but you love this team. And like, I got to brag on you and Ellie, like, we had a team meeting last Friday and there ended up being a cattle show. So me and Emily weren't there. And Emily's like, do we want to reschedule? I said, absolutely not. I said, that's why we have leaders in the business. So any words of advice?
Yeah. I guess for some short words of wisdom is, don't ever stop yourself from like pursuing an opportunity out of fear that you might not succeed. Because really, if I hadn't have came here and because I was scared, you know, it's a commission job, I'm not going to make any money, Lexi's pregnant. Like, if I hadn't taken that risk to work here, then I'd probably still be working in a factory, which for some people is great. They like it. There's nothing wrong with working in a factory. For me, I wasn't happy there. So I think just if you have an opportunity, you know, don't let fear be the reason that you don't take it. That would be my words of wisdom there.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, boss. Love you.